When I married Kate, I thought we had something real, something that could withstand anything. We'd been through tough times before, the kind of challenges that test a relationship and make you feel closer for having gotten through them. I was proud of what we had, convinced we were different, unbreakable. That's why, when I noticed her acting distant, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. At first, I told myself it was nothing, that she was just stressed or tired. But as the weeks went by, the late nights and secretive texts became too obvious to ignore. Finally, after one too many nights of her working late, I confronted her, hoping she'd laugh it off and tell me I was being paranoid. Instead, she looked at me, sighed, and admitted it. She confessed that she'd been seeing someone else, but instead of breaking down in tears or showing any real remorse, she shrugged. It wasn't a big deal, she said. It was just casual. Those words cut deeper than anything else she could have said. Just casual? Like it was no different than catching a movie or going out for drinks with a friend. The person I thought I knew was now sitting across from me, talking about her betrayal like it was nothing, trying to process what she just told me. I asked the question I wasn't sure I wanted an answer to. Did you sleep with him? She hesitated for a moment, then nodded, almost as if it pained her to be honest, and said, only twice. Not much. I felt a surge of anger rise up inside me. Not much, I said, almost laughing at the absurdity of it. She was acting as if the number made it any less hurtful, as if she could downplay her betrayal by limiting it to a couple of times. I looked at her, waiting for some sign of regret, some indication that she understood what she'd done. But instead, she kept trying to brush it off, insisting that it didn't mean anything and that she wasn't planning to leave me. It was just a distraction, she said, as if that made it any easier to swallow. But the worst part, the part that broke me more than the betrayal itself, was her tone, the way she tried to make this all seem normal, as if I was the one overreacting. She kept saying it was just a fling, a phase, as if these words were supposed to make me feel better. Like I was supposed to accept her casual betrayal and just move on. I tried to stay calm, to keep the anger and hurt buried, but it felt impossible. The way she minimized everything, like our marriage wasn't worth the respect it deserved, like her choices were just small inconveniences I'd have to get over, was almost worse than the affair itself. I told her I needed time to think, but deep down, I already knew that something had changed forever. Over the next few days, I realized I couldn't look at her the same way. Our marriage felt tainted, hollow, built on shaky ground. And so, after a lot of sleepless nights, I told her I wanted a divorce. At first, she didn't believe me. She acted shocked, like she hadn't considered that her mistake would have consequences. She tried to talk me out of it, saying she loved me, that it wouldn't happen again. But it was too late. Her words had taken something from us, a trust that couldn't be rebuilt. Months passed, and I began piecing my life back together. I felt free in a way, no longer burdened by the doubts and pain her affair had created. But just when I thought I was finally moving on, she called me. She wanted to meet, saying she had things she wanted to clear up. When we met, she looked nervous, not at all like the woman who brushed off her actions as just casual. She told me she regretted everything, that she missed me, that she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. She was practically pleading for a second chance, promising me that she'd do anything to make things right. But as she talked, all I could think of was that moment when she shrugged off the affair, calling it just casual, as if our relationship was something disposable. And in that moment, I knew that as much as I might have once loved her, there was no going back.
I told her I couldn't forget what she'd done or how little it seemed to matter to her at the time. I walked away that day, and this time, I didn't look back.